Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing in partnership with shopbetting.co.uk, your home for betting tips and analysis. Please click the link in the description to find out more. This is a betting tip show for the big fight taking place on April 26th between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Danny, good to be joined by you as always. It's the biggest fight that's going to take place in the UK this year, most likely. It's for some people, it's not for some people, but yeah, it's a big night for the bookies, isn't it? You're going to have hardcore fans, casual fans having a flutter, as I'm sure me and you may do as well. Um, we'll go right into it as always. We're going to do one betting tip each. It's all a bit of fun. If you're watching this video, please do gamble responsibly. Don't get too excited. Don't gamble after having a few cans, all that sort of thing. Danny, I'll hand things over to you first. What is your betting tip for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, please?
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. As you say, fight like this, a crossover fight, does attract the casual punters, and as such, they'll offer a wide array of markets, a lot more than they will on your sort of standard Saturday night fare, and they'll also sort of reduce their odds. So finding a bit of value can be tough. Now, I've been sort of saying privately for a while what I'm about to say. This is the first time I think I'm going to say it in a public forum. I think Conor Benn's going to stop Chris Eubank Jr. I think it's obviously not a foregone conclusion. I think there's question marks over how Benn can take a punch, especially up at middleweight. You know, we've not seen Benn hit clean by a puncher ever, really, a puncher at world level. So that is a concern. However, I have big question marks over what version of Chris Eubank Jr. we're going to see in the ring. I think that's down to a number of factors: the weight, the stage of his career he's at, the knockout to Liam Smith, and namely the rehydration clause. So with that in mind, I think Conor Benn will catch him. I think he's the more explosive fighter. I think he'll stop him early. So I'm going to go Conor Benn inside the first 6 rounds, which you can get a price of 5-1 with Sky Bet.
Yeah, fantastic. You're right what you mentioned about there are some very intriguing odds across the board there. And yeah, I think people are going to get involved in this fight from a betting perspective. Put it that way. Before we just move on to my tip, Danny, just want to bring in our partners, Sharp Betting. Eubank Jr. has been backed. These are American odds have been backed from 1-8 to 1.6, and Ben has gone from 2 to 2.3. So, but Eubank's basically become more of a favourite. Ben's become less of a favourite, so you can get good odds on Conor Benn just to win. I'm seeing odds of Conor Benn 11-8 just to win the fight, 2-1 just to win by stoppage, and 5-1 to win via decision. Could I just get you to comment on that in terms of why do you think you as this fight's been announced a while ago now? We're recording this 2 weeks before the fight. Why do you think Eubank's become more of a favourite and Ben become more of an outsider in this fight?
I think there's a few factors. I think Chris Eubank Jr. is a bigger name than Conor Benn, which for most fights probably wouldn't influence the odds, but potentially when this one, when there is, as we say, so much interest from, not even just casual boxing fans, casual sports fans, just the general public. I think that could have played a role. I think more well-known voices in boxing are picking Eubank to win the fight, which can influence people's betting. And I think the reasons I've given for backing Ben, they are all technically just sort of what ifs. The what ifs I'm quite confident for without reason, but if you look at all the sort of objective facts, Eubank has fought at the higher level. He is the bigger man. It's at his weight. There's a lot more question marks over Ben in that sense. So I do understand how if you're laying it out as a tail of the tape type thing, it really does only lead you towards Eubank. So it doesn't surprise me that the money's come for Eubank and his odds have shortened as a result.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll be interesting to see where the odds are at kind of the night before the fight, the night of the fight. I think a fascinating part of this whole this experiment, this fight is going to be the weigh-in as well from both sides. What's Eubank Jr. going to look like at 160, and what's Ben going to look like at 160? Will Ben come in at 160? Could he come in at that bit? I've seen suggestions he could come in 4 or 5 pounds lighter than that, but we'll see. It's really interesting. Just to round off, Danny. it's a tough one to predict, but I'm still edging towards Eubank Juniors to win this fight. I probably can't make a good case like you can, but I just there, as the cliche says, there are as the saying goes, there are weight classes in boxing for a reason. There are question marks over Benn's performances because of how good he looked again, how good he looked before he failed the drugs test, and how he has looked since he has come back in those two fights he's had in America. Inactivity. Ben hasn't had a fight. Ben's not had a fight for over a year. Eubank Jr. could be coming towards the end of his career now. I can think can still whack. And for me, the big question is if Eubank Jr. hits Conor Benn flush, what happens? Ben's in a weight division he's not competed in. So that being said, I'm going for Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight in rounds 4 to 6, and you can get odds of 7 to 1. That's where my that's where my money is. I think it could be a tentative first 3 rounds. But I think one thing I'm semi-confident on is I do think this fight will finish within 6 or 7 rounds either way. I don't
Agree.
I don't see this fight going a distance. I don't really see it going late. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. It's really interesting. One final question for you, Danny. I'm not going to kind of throw odds at you, but how many we've seen both guys can punch in the past, but what's your thoughts on knockdowns in this fight? Because I am actually gonna throw one pair of odds at you. For there to be over 1.5 knockdowns, you can get odds of 6 to 5. And I just think that's fairly appealing. You can maybe see both fighters getting knocked down in this fight. What are your opinion on knockdowns? How many knockdowns can you expect to see on Saturday night?
I actually looked at that market as well, and I agree with you. I think almost of all the routes I see the fight taken, I see there being over 1.5 knockdowns. I don't think either man will knock their opponent out cold in one punch. I think they'll get up, and I think in fights of this magnitude, even if a fighter is pretty badly hurt, and maybe it should be waved off, the ref will tend to let them go if they've beat the count, which would lead to, in theory, you would think, another knockdown. So even if it's one-sided for Eubank, I think I can see over 1.5 knockdowns. It's one-sided for Benn, I think I can see it. If it's a back and forth fight when they're both at it, then I can see it that way as well. So I agree with you. I think 6 to 5, and that's a good price.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, please do let us know your betting tips in the comments section. Let us know where your money's at, what your prediction is, and we'll see. Look, a good undercard as well. So interested to see what people's predictions are for that as well. Danny, good to be joined by you as always. Enjoy the fight. Hope your bet comes in. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
You don't know what comes in. Thanks very much, mate.
Thank you.